Now, in case you missed it, several politicians in New Zealand just broke out into a primal Stone Age war dance.
Kia ora, my bro. Firstly, it is Haka, not a war dance.
You know, this Haka dance, it's very dangerous. And you could tell the people doing it, they think it's real spooky and really scary. It's real intimidating.
Riddle me this, Matt Walsh. If Haka is a war dance, then why do they do it at weddings? Why do they do it in celebration for a graduation? Let's say you graduated from university. Why do they do the Haka then? You see, the Haka is a cultural expression of your mana or wairua. In other words, spirit and authority. This is why we don't refer to the Haka as a war dance or a primitive thing, because it is not. It is much more than that. It's not limited to just a dance. In this instance, in Parliament, it's actually a great sign of respect for our ancestors who signed the Treaty of Waitangi, a peace treaty between Māori and non-Māori.
You know, it's a lot less cringe when you dub in some real music instead of the prehistoric grunting. And they're right, it is dangerous because it may cause everybody in the vicinity to die of secondhand embarrassment.
You guys are literally perpetuating the American stereotype. You know, you go to other countries, you make fun of other people's cultures, and wonder why you get kicked out. Need I talk about what happened in South Korea recently?
Now, it's a little hard to see in all the pandemonium, but they're getting in the face of a politician named David Seymour, who introduced a bill that they don't like. The people doing the screeching identify as Maori.
I never thought I'd have to dog walk Matt Walsh. First of all, it's Māori. I've never seen somebody be more wrong on the topic of Māori, Moriori, Aotearoa, New Zealand politics, or even the translation of Māori, which he doesn't speak.
So here's the background. Hundreds of years ago, around the late 13th century.
Roughly around about 900 AD, Kupe arrived with other East Polynesian settlers, and they are from the Pacific Islands. And guess what? The Moriori in about 1100 AD, they also arrived to the Chatham Islands, which is actually islands off of the main islands of Aotearoa.
Depending on who you ask, they were either the first to arrive or they massacred everyone else who was already there when they got there. In any event, before long, the Maori wiped out a different tribe called the Moriori.
Now, the reason why the British government perpetuated the myth that the Moriori were extinct because of the Māori was they wanted to justify themselves that it was okay for the British to colonize Māori and therefore take Māori land. And what the British government didn't tell you is that it was all a lie, and that's why they apologized for the fact that they taught in the school journal. This is the government, you know, they literally taught in schools false claims about the Moriori. They also made false claims about the Māori not being the first people to the main islands so that they could take Māori land. Now, this is something that I bet none of you have heard. It was a British ship that took two tribes over to the Chatham Islands to go kill a bunch of Moriori. Yeah, the British perpetuated this entire scam, this entire thing that the Māori believed that they were superior to an inferior race, killed them, colonized them. And it was actually pushed by the British so that they could justify their own taking of Aotearoa. So yeah, maybe do better research next time.
Tainui have harboured grievances for 130 years. Today's apology took just 4 minutes.
The Waikato Party Claim Settlement Bill, 1995.
Presented by the Prime Minister, the bill already has the support of Parliament and now finally is signed by the Queen in triplicate. This is the first time the Queen has ever signed any law in public.
The Moriori, I think is probably how you pronounce it, who were pacifists living in the Chatham Islands in the east, and they got enslaved and beheaded and cannibalized by the Maori because apparently that's what...
5 seconds ago you said that they were wiped out. Now you're saying that they were enslaved, and then you even claimed that they were the first people to arrive when that's just never been the case. That Kupe arrived, which is the Māori, and then the Chatham Islands are also settled by a different group. No wonder why you fumbled, because you had no idea which one it was.
In every context that this Haka is performed, it's cringeworthy to an immeasurable, painful degree. Yes, there's nothing like a fearsome war chant before a basketball game, where everybody looks at you like you're crazy, and then you get completely destroyed.
I don't think it's a very fair comparison to compare a country's worst sport, such as basketball, against your country's best sport, which is basketball. I think it would be a better comparison, and let's talk about the Rugby World Cup. How many times has America actually won the Rugby World Cup? And then compare that to the All Blacks, who have done the Haka consistently every single time before they play. And do you know how many times they've taken the Rugby World Cup? I don't really care. It doesn't matter because it's way more than whatever America has.
You can't do a fearsome war dance on behalf of a conquered people and then get conquered some more. You know, the Maori have been doing this dance for centuries and they just get beaten every time in every context, in every type of battle they've ever been in, at least for the last 700 years.
Why do you think the British Empire, if they were so powerful, signed a peace treaty, a truce with the Māori? It's because they were getting absolutely slaughtered. Now this image is a depiction of a famous event at the Battle of Gate Pa, which was a battle of around 2,000 British soldiers against 500 Māori. After the British were defeated here, mind you, they did outnumber the Māori 4-1. The British played this battle incredibly safe. They had 110-pound Armstrong guns. And they had to resort to scorched earth tactics where they were literally just bombarding the Māori fortifications. And the British even snuck through the swamps in order to cut off the water supply. Now this is Lieutenant Colonel Booth receiving water from the Māori as he lay dying in the trenches. Many of the wounded British soldiers called out for water in the night after their defeat. This is the same enemy that cut off their water supply and they're helping them. And this is because of the code of conduct that was drawn up that the wounded should be treated fairly. And here's a Māori proverb, Araha ki te tangata, ahakoa ko wai te tangata. Love people in spite of who they are. So not only did the Māori in this Battle of Gate Pa win ethically, morally, and physically, but they also did the haka while they were at it.
Protest a piece of legislation that's working its way through Parliament. They won't stop doing the chant, and eventually, because of that, Parliament has to be shut down entirely. Watch. Maori are explicitly campaigning against equal rights. And they're threatening politicians who don't agree with them.
These are the things that you've conveniently missed out in your video. One, that the British government systemically took away Māori land. Two, they even spread propaganda, lies and myths such as the extinction of the Moriori in order to take more Māori land. Three, that they banned Māori as a language in school. Four, they took Māori children from their parents away. And I'm talking like within the last 100, 200 years. We're not talking about like way in the past. We're talking like very fresh, very recent. And this is the government doing this. And so this is why the government apologizes to the Māori people, because of what they did. And it's not like ancestors. We're talking about people that are still living today that are affected by this. So with that historical context, and now that you've got that understanding, that the government itself has been trying to undermine the Māori since the British had arrived. Now you understand why the Māori have been protesting their rights. They have the right to be equally treated. Instead, with this new bill, they are being unequally treated. Now, how is that equality exactly? Like what you posted, that little video from what David Seymour shares, is not what is written in the bill. This is what's written in the bill. Go click on the Treaty Bill NZ, you'll see it yourself. If the rights of everyone differ, we will treat Māori, hapu, whatever the government deems. They've provided a conditional statement that allows them to do whatever they want with Māori land. That's not equality. In your entire video, not once did you ever actually show the bill, like what was actually written in the bill.
On any indigenous group anywhere in the world, you apologize first. Okay? You get up and make a big show and fall to your knees apologizing for all the terrible things your ancestors did.
Now that's a blatant false equivalence. First of all, the Māori never went to Europe, they never went to London, and they didn't start spreading false rumors. They didn't ban English and force everybody to learn Māori. They didn't take away English children and raise them as Māori. They didn't try to start a war with some other neighboring country and then blame the British as being savages and people that like to go colonizing other nations like these peaceful people known as the Irish or, I don't know, Scotland or something like that. No, the Māori never did anything like that form of systemic colonization. That is why the Queen of England herself came and apologized. Because what the British Empire did to the Māori people was nowhere near in equivalence to what Māori did to other Māori tribes. I'm done with this video.
To people who identify as Maori, in addition to affirmative action, they just announced a, quote, financial redress of $30 million plus interest to Maori tribes, along with a fund of more than $1 million to assist with cultural revitalization. New Zealand politicians also regularly give lengthy apologies to the tribes, like this one. What?
Where a representative from the Crown is going to deliver.
Keep apologizing. 500 years of apologies won't be enough. Just keep on forever. It could be a